This is the rather delightful situation I was going to work in, and you can see here the easel and the large panel up, prepared and ready to work, as some of my previous work also standing nearby. I'm going to use these acrylic paints. They're nice and soft and creamy, and I'm working over a black ground. This ground is quite simply black acrylic blackboard paint painted over MDF. I shan't need many brushes, although I've got a nice selection with me. I can get away with just a couple of flats. A ½ inch and a ¼ inch should do me for almost this entire painting. Ordinary TVB or nylon brushes with long handles I prefer, as you can see here. I find that this large mixing palette and maybe one or two more do me quite adequately, and this particular acrylic is so nice that it will just peel off when it's dry. I don't have to wash the palette, the whole lot just comes off as one skin. You can see the design more clearly now. There's my large black oval of blackboard paint, with some white watercolour pencil drawn on to work out my design. Externally you see the gold leafing and the metallic foiling done for the outside of the panel, which virtually frames it and represents the building in sunlight and reflecting in the water below. A painting like this doesn't take me too long to actually accomplish. It was the hours of work taken in designing and planning. Of course there's a lot of time in cutting the shape, in priming it, in getting the gold effects just right, and in working the whole design out on the computer and going there and taking all those photographs in the first place. So when I've thought about this for many weeks, I've got most of it in my head ready to just go ahead. It's only a matter of technically accomplishing that image onto the board. Neither is it simply a matter of just reproducing the photographs I have in my hand. In fact, I did many variations and have them nearby, and I will make adjustments as I go along, both in the drawing and the colours. I'm mixing these various warm and cool greens and blues and playing one colour against another and one shape against another. And if I need to make adjustments as I go along, I will. But with quite a bit of experience, it isn't too hard to mix the colours fairly closely to that which you need and then build up over them. So I'm doing an underpainting first of all, then I go back over that. Acrylic dries very, very quickly, so it's only a matter of minutes before I can work over a previous colour. One soon becomes used to having the public around you when working, and I don't feel at all embarrassed about it or shy. In fact, I quite enjoy having the company and people talking about it. Very few people are rude, if at all, and most people like to see what you're doing, like to talk and gain from you, and of course I often gain from them as well, because it's nice to hear other opinions, and other artists come and meet me and we exchange all sorts of ideas. It was always my wish and intention to donate and give this painting also to the Deeper. It was done especially for them and about them. I felt the design very unusual and quite a strong piece of graphics. But when I'd finished the work and was quite pleased with it and finally offered it to the manager, he rather abruptly said that they weren't an art gallery and declined the offer, so I then passed the painting on to a local college. Nonetheless, it was an interesting and unusual piece of work to do, and I do hope that it's now found a good home somewhere and is being appreciated. What you will also notice here is that I'm not just completing one area and finishing it and working all over the board as I would with a normal painting. The painting to me is a bit like a jigsaw, that one part should fit to another, and if you complete one part too far, then the other parts may not be right later. So we compare one shape, one colour, cools, warms, lights, darks, to one another all over the picture, and as we build those up, we're able to make them relate correctly one to another over the whole panel. Enhancing education, enhancing everybody's view of nature, of these animals, of the potential, not only just directly seeing and touching and looking at, but enhancing with the arts and music and other materials and ways of looking as well, is to the benefit of the whole world. It's to the benefit of all of the visitors. It's to the benefit of the animals themselves, to make an awareness and to take this further. Within this work itself, I'm actually looking at the different dimensions of how these people are looking through the glass at another dimension behind the tank, of how the fish are looking at them, of the different materials and mediums of the paint and the gold leafing and the texturing and the light. Abstract things as well as figurative things. Acrylic paints will go over most surfaces, and you can see here I'm painting directly onto the gold leaf metallic foiling. I wanted to link the inner painting with the outside shapes. I wanted those waves to come across and the reflections of sky that are mirrored in the colours in the painting to also mirror outside on the gold. It's quite a complicated piece of work, and the more you look at a painting obviously like this, the more you're going to see. Even working out the panes of the glass and the shapes of the metal to be part of the design of the whole picture. A simple technical point to remember is that we can put oil paints over acrylics, but we can't put acrylics over oil. Such an experience has to be good for the aquarium, because it not only adds another dimension for the artist who's painting there, but for the public who are actually seeing these paintings and therefore seeing the fish and seeing the whole aquarium in a different way. For me, this particular painting symbolised much about the deep and the wonder of these young children and adults looking up inside this tank, and it saddens me that it couldn't remain there. Well, there we are. This painting went fairly quickly. I managed to complete it within one day. I didn't have any other interruptions and didn't have to teach that day. Now, who could resist? With Finding Nemo, the film, these are the very fish in the tank that they've put together for that type of display. And I did one other painting while I was there. I decided to have a go at these fish, to actually sit in front of the tank with a half sheet of watercolour paper and an acrylic ground again, and do a pastel of the fish. Again, using the rapid techniques, it was finished within an hour, and I'm quite pleased with the effect. Well, that's the end of this tripping experience. Thank you so much for joining me on it. I do hope you'll join me on other trips on my other films as well, and gain from those and share them with me.